Yo, Andrew Nielsen is the greatest post-punk laptop rapper of all time. As far as I know, he's the only one. Mosh pits are just as common at his shows as iPhones. He also coined a term for his entire generation, the I generation. MC Lars, creep up to this mark.
MC Chalkskin, what's up?
So which came first, the laptop or the microphone?
The laptop. I was making, I always made beats on my own. Like, I played guitar in punk bands, and then I'd go home and make these beats. And ever since I could make sound come out of my computer, I was manipulating it musically. Like with the mod files, and with MIDI, with Rebirth, with Fruity Loops, old versions of Cubase. I was just such a geek with like programming beats and stuff. And then I was playing guitar and jazz and stuff. And then I got into rap. But the rap was always just like me saying something dumb on a house beat. And then I realized you could actually say something of substance if you make the beat like drum and bass is usually like 180. Yeah. Hip hop is usually like 90 beats per minute. So you just take the techno, split it in half, and add the snare on like the 2 and 4, and you have a hip hop beat. So I started rapping after that.
We got a producer over there nodding his head. He approves. You have an English degree from Stanford, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So you also are well known for your literary intelligence. You've read a lot of books. You rap about rhymes. How does your role as an intellectual affect your role as a rapper?
Wow, these are really interesting questions. These are cool questions. I think that the best rappers, my favorite rappers are thoughtful ones who are also writers and teachers and activists. I think with hip-hop, it's just an example of the oral culture. It's how we preserve the oral culture. Rhyme helps students memorize things because it engages more parts of your mind. Like, it engages your memory and it engages the rhythmic pattern size of your mind. So you retain information better. So hip-hop, the origin in hip-hop of the rapper goes back to the tradition of the West African griot, which is the wandering storyteller that came to America through the blues music, like the work songs, the gospel music, then rock and roll, then hip-hop. And so literature is just hip-hop is the preservation of the oral culture, and literature is our oral culture. So it helps you have something to say on the mic if you're continuing the tradition.
You've been teaching kids English through your raps.
That's right. Yeah, I just did. I've been working with the Annenberg Communications people at USC, and we went into this school, this public school in LA. I set up this program where we read Edgar Allan Poe, we write raps about it, and it helps the kids learn more about it. These kids who aren't doing well in the other classes, they come to my workshops, and it's kind of like a interactive, collaborative community of me and these young students. Then we just did a TED Talk, and we talk about how hip-hop can help with memory and education, and they performed a song. It's going to go hopefully on the TED site, at least on YouTube, but hopefully on the TED site like in a few weeks.
You have a comic strip that you've done since you were in school, and now you do it as a web series called 27th Street. So I'm putting you in charge of the Kathy comic. What would you do with it?
Kathy is always complaining. She needs to like go on like a Zen meditation retreat, move to Berkeley or something like that, listen to some Xyanai and the Grouch, just kind of relax, just have fun, maybe go hiking, maybe like just enjoy some time alone. Realize she doesn't need a man to stimulate her feminine identity in this busy workforce in this changing world. She can be a sexual, strong woman without being paranoid and histrionic and in a deep, weird relationship with her mother that makes her self-destructive.
That was awesome.
Right.
That was awesome, dog. That was awesome. Recently, you did a pie chart that outlined your income. It showed that most of your income comes from merchandise and from doing shows, and hardly any of it comes from album sales. So exactly how much do you regret download this song now?
Well, that's a good question because, no, that's a great question. I think the small percentage of album sales will always be small in this changing economy, and it stimulates the rest of the pie chart. So with the new media economics, you have to give your stuff away for years and actively tell people to not pay for your music, so then it will get exposure on blogs if it's good and stuff like that. So I feel like the music as a service instead of a product economic model was one that I got behind in 2005 that's kind of been manifested in things like Spotify and all the streaming services, the cloud model of music distribution. So that's why that number's a small percentage. So I kind of am proud of that song because it was ahead of the whole SOPA debate stuff, and it became relevant again. But I wish that chart, I don't make much money, but I'm able to sustain myself. If that part of the chart expanded, I'm sure the rest would shrink because less people would care about what I'm doing. Right. So my advice to young artists is give it away. Make it really good and don't be too protective of it. And on Bandcamp, do it for donation, or free. That's what I do for all my old stuff. Yeah. You can pay whatever. You can get it for free if you want, as long as you come to the show and support the community. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a good answer, man. I like that.
Cool.
So you I think probably your biggest hit of all time is Hot Topic is not punk rock. I think that's pretty accurate. Now that puts you as an expert of being able to tell what retail chains are and are not of different genres of music. So let's play a game. Let's just play a game on it. Okay, you tell me what genre it's not. Okay. Abercrombie and Fitch.
It's not gutter punk.
That's good. Excellent. Okay. Walmart.
It's not pro-working class music.
Okay. Cool. Dunkin' Donuts.
It's not dubstep.
So you really are into philosophy. Okay. So I have a philosophical question that I've been trying to wrap my brain around for a long time. One of the secrets of the universe. I'm hoping you can unlock it for me. Yo, why can't I sneeze and yawn at the same time?
It's physically impossible because you have air going out and air going in. You yawn as a reflex, like your body's like, I need more oxygen. So you're like, okay. And it helps stimulate you. You're sneezing, you're like getting some crap out of your nose. So you can't do both at the same time because they both serve different biological functions.
Okay, so you have a rap about being a camp counselor.
Yeah.
Okay, your name comes from a Ben Stiller movie.
That's a great connection. I never thought of that.
About camp counselor. Okay, so Ernest Goes to Camp, was that like an opus of an underrated genius, or was that a snub by the Academy of Motion Pictures and Science?
I think that's the best Ernest movie.
It is.
Yeah, definitely. It's the most iconic, fun movie. And he'd be a good counselor. Not very responsible, but a lot of fun.
You worked at camp, though, right?
I did, yeah. I worked at summer camps in college, teaching kindergartners how to swim and stuff like that, and like working with like fifth graders and teaching, like doing rap workshops and stuff. It was up in Lake Tahoe. That was great. But then the next summer I went on tour, so I couldn't do both.
Who would win in a rap battle? Edgar Allan Poe, Herman Melville, or William Shakespeare?
Probably William Shakespeare, the man, if you consolidated him into one true historical identity. All their books, Edgar Allan Poe would win because he's more focused on sound and rhythm and meter and the cadence and the flow. He really believed that the power, the magic of rhyming words is what gave poetry their life. So he would be a better freestyler, but Shakespeare had better stories. So I feel like Poe would be more technical. Shakespeare would have better content.
So you had Weird Al Yankovic on True Player for Real.
Yeah.
He's an idol of mine as well, right? So who else would you like to work with if you could?
I would love to work with Eminem. I think he's awesome. I don't know if that will happen, but I also think that like the Odd Future guys are doing interesting stuff. That whole crew, all the beats, Haji Beats, he does really good production. You know, I'd do a track with him. Like, there's a lot of like punk artists I want to work with. Ian MacKaye from Minor Threat. I just did a song with the Dead Milkmen. We're going to do an album together. So I just want to work with more of the legends of punk and some of the hip-hop pioneers and create a futuristic sound that hasn't been explored by anyone. That's really smart and poppy and happy. Like when you do it live, it like gets the crowd going. That's important. Every song you produce needs to have an element that connects emotionally with the audience. And so any producer who can help me bring that out in the studio that's important. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Whoever that is. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, that's kind of post-punk laptop rap in essence.
Exactly, yeah. The post-punk comes from, the post-punk movement took the energy of the bands like Sex Pistols, and then they took it and flipped it so it wasn't just the three chords, like with Joy Division and Public Image Limited and all that stuff. That's post-punk. So you take the DIY sound, and then you add the laptop rap element. That's really punk rock because it's about like creating something on your own terms, on your own cheaply. You know?
Yeah.
And so to make that sound, you have to have that approach.
It's an election year. There's lots of very important issues that we're all looking at, right? We got abortion, we got healthcare, we got the economy, we got war, right?
Yeah.
Okay, in this time of strife, should we make a Green Lantern 2?
I never saw the first one. Was it bad?
It was terrible.
Oh. I should see the first one, but probably not.
Who would you be if you were in the punk era?
I like Jello Biafra's voice, how it was so strange and how he was such a showman and so political, and then how he later went on to foster the careers of people like Wesley Willis and like the Bay Area punk artists. So yeah, he's someone I really look up to, and his spoken word stuff. I love how Rollins was so prolific and so like confident and so like good at telling stories, and how his years with Black Flag were so like intensely aggressive, and like that they helped carve the touring routes for all the bands that followed. So I like him as a businessman pioneer, Jello Biafra as an activist, and Ian MacKaye for his ethics and for like the straight edge element of making something raw and different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So one of those three.
Can you tell me a little bit about your background of music?
Oh, what I grew up listening to?
Yeah.
Weird Al Yankovic, Criss Cross, Meatloaf, and then like Doggy Style by Snoop. And that all got mixed into my 5th grade brain. And then Weezer. And then all the Nirvana stuff. And then Beck. And then Insane Clown Posse for their theatrical.
Were you a juggalo?
Yeah, I went to shows, painted my face. No big deal. I was 16. It was still fresh.
Okay,
it wasn't whack yet. Sage Francis, Atmosphere, and then here I am.
I love it, man.
And then like Front Lot and those nerdy rap guys, my friends, who I love. MC Chris was a big influence actually when I was like 20, 19.
And now it's time that we plug something. What would you like to plug today?
I would like to plug that we're still around and it's 2013. Thank God 2012 wasn't the end of the world. And MCLars.com, fresh content, just posted.
What would you be doing if you weren't a rapper?
I'd probably be a psychologist. I was majoring in psychology and art therapy is awesome. Working with kids to help get through like whatever through art. Mm-hmm. That's what I want to do. Be a therapist, and then write songs. But I feel like music is another form of therapy. So when you're on stage and connecting with people and creating music, that's therapy in another way. I went to school less. Yeah.
Last question. What is the future for Nerdcore?
Great production. In the past few years, I've really been actually impressed by the genre and the diversification and the live shows and the creativity. So I think Nerdcore, it's surprising me as a genre that I think it's really stepped up its game. So I think more regional scenes, more people adopting the genre who are making more hip-hop music, and it just kind of describes what they do. Music is so fragmented, so anything we can do to build unity and help brand things as good and smart, I'm all for. So just better hip-hop, more regional scenes, and the mainstream co-opting it more. Like in the new Chris Brown video, they have the Nintendo controller, you know what I mean? And you see Lil Wayne with the frontal glasses. Yeah. Frontal started all that, in rap. So the hipster co-opting Nerdcore. We hugging? This is a good memory. Now we gotta do a rap. Let's do a rap.
You just licked my earlobe.
Let's do a rap.
We got that nerdcore that makes the nerds rock. We getting geeked up, about to go to nerd side. We got that nerdcore that makes the nerds rock. We getting geeked up, about to go to nerd side. She's a nerd.
I saw your interview with Frontal. That was good.
Well, thank you, sir.
You guys are both very different examples of the new era of hip-hop culture.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love
That's
it, man.
cool. It's
That
true.
was cool,
It's
man.
true.
I like it.